didn't have much of a childhood. Too busy making a living. They didn't concentrate. My parents, if you come in, I used to come home for lunch when I went to grammar school. If I ate, my mother on the way out was in the store. Molly, did you eat? Yeah or no, it didn't make any difference. We ate. She was too busy waiting on customers. We were on our own. A few times the teacher would invite me to her home. I remember I thought it was so classy being invited to the teacher's home. To me, that was a big, big thing. And we were raised by a head nurse from a hospital. My parents took her away from a hospital section, and she was our nanny. Mrs. Tice was the head nurse. And she raised us, and she taught us Bobby Shafter, what you see, silver buckles on his ear. All the elocution and all the stuff we were taught by Mrs. Tice. But one day when they started me off to school, I didn't know it was a whole day school. I skipped part of the kindergarten. So someone took me to school and the bell rang. It was recess. I thought it was time to go home. I don't know how I got across Ogden Boulevard by myself and walked in the house. Everybody was startled. They didn't know what happened. I came home and the school was looking for me. My father had to put me back in the car and take me back to school. That was my earliest memory of school. The family, Harry and Frank, my father, used to like to get together. My mother used to cook Sundays, her day off. And the family used to get together for a poker game. And all the relatives would come to our house. My mother would put down the feast, and all the young cousins were there, but they would pick on Molly being the youngest. I once fell asleep, and Miriam Levine and my sister Mary put the orange pits, they ate oranges, put them in my ear because I was the little punk. My father favored me. I was his favorite one because being the youngest of the girls. I woke up, I couldn't hear. My ear was full of orange pits. My father gave them hell. He took his strap off and let them have it. He would beat up any kid. He beat up older kids too. They were scared of Frank. He had a temper. The big thrill was walking on Roosevelt Road and going into, I forgot the name of the restaurant, to go in to have a corned beef ulcer sandwich. Go along Roosevelt Road and met everyone. The sidewalks were mobbed with people. That was social time. It would take you down Central Park Avenue to walk, too bad Flo isn't here, from Crawford to go down to Central Park, hours. The sidewalk you couldn't walk through. People like State and Madison Street. You were talking to everybody. And that was like the Jewish hangout, Douglas Boulevard, and there, that was it. That was the social life. And it was nothing around 27th Street. See, gangsters, the beer trucks, it was prohibition. A lot of that was going on. Al Capone, when I was dating, they took me to the 22 Club, that's 22nd and Wabash. And the gangsters used to hang out there. I was scared to death. There was nothing to shoot someone on the street. That was Chicago at the time. Prohibition. In 27th Street, there was a beer factory not far from us. They were all hanging around there. I went to school with Gentile kids, and being a Jew in the neighborhood, a lot of them were envious of Jews, especially my parents being in business. The Jewish people on 26th Street stuck together. They were friendly. But when I went to school, I had a lot of anti-Semitism there. If I knew I couldn't go out with a non-Jewish kid, and my father would resent it. and they used to holler. At that time, Hitler was just getting into power. They would holler, because I wouldn't go out with them. They wanted to see Hitler run down Maxwell Street. All the Jews were on Maxwell Street in business. They want to live to see the day of Hitler running down Maxwell Street, killing all the Jews. That was the start of it. I used to be very hurt, very upset over it. They disliked me. In fact, I had a very good Polish friend. And I saw a lot of this Dorothy Kohler. We were going to go out. And I said, Dorothy, I'll pick you up at your house. Oh, Motley, she says, don't come to my house. I says, why, Dorothy? My father won't let you. You're a Jew. I was crushed. We were best friends in school. I said, why does he hate Jews so much? Because he always worked for Jews and he hates them. And you can't come to my house. That cut off that friendship. And that was then. I finally found a Jewish girlfriend. Many Mazalas. I stuck by her. She didn't have much personality, but she was better than nothing. I couldn't go to the prom because being raised in a Gentile neighborhood, and I didn't go with Sidney Sunderland anymore, and there wasn't another Jewish boy. They asked me, and I knew that I was asked, but I couldn't go and tell my parents who asked me, a Gentile kid. My father would take a strap off and let me have it. He would make a fist, he'll give me right away. So I kept quiet and I stood home. And there was no big deal. I'd rather forsake the prom and not get a beating. And that was the end of that. So I lived through it. I went to the JPI that night, that evening, and one of the boys wanted to pay my way, and I didn't want anyone to pay my way up to the roof garden dance because I was out there to see what I could get. So I ran up the stairs, paid my own way, and went in, and a handsome-looking fellow with a straw sailor hat asked me for a dance. My sister Esther was along. Fatso was there. And at that time, Scarlett O'Hara was the move, Gone with the Wind. And he asked me for a dance. They used to call them by numbers. So I thought I was dancing with someone, he could have numbers so-and-so. Came to that number, I forgot I had it with them. So my sister Esther said, that young man is looking for you. You had that dance with him. I looked and he's standing there looking. So I went and I said, oh, really, I'm not a Scarlett O'Hara. I forgot all about you. He forgave me. Then he wanted to take me home. No car. He walked me home. Big sport. It was summertime. And he brings me a box of candy. I thank him and I put it away. He says, no, he wants a piece. I figured, what kind of a cheapskate is he? He wants a piece of candy. I should open up the box. He wants to eat the candy already. I didn't know that he had the ring inside the box. He wanted me to open it so I would see it. So I opened the box of candy. He says, here, have a piece. So there was a blue, it was all summer assortment. There was a blue, big, I didn't know it was plastic box in the center. It says, oh, what's that piece in the middle? I says, I don't know. I go to pull it up, and the box opens up, and there was a ring in there. Oh, and I threw the box down. I ran into the kitchen to tell my mother he wants to marry me. That was so. I left him sitting with a box of candy in the front room. I was very romantic. He sat with the box of candy. I ran. It was a long hallway to run to the kitchen to go tell my parents. How old was I? I must have been 21 or 22. My husband, Nathan Barish, forgot that he was married one day, closed up the store. He had the store at 4009 Roosevelt Road, and he went home to his mother. And I was waiting for him. He got home and reminded himself he was married and come running to his wife. That was another story. I said, where were you? He says, I forgot you were here. Very romantic. When I married Nathan, he was in the ladies' ready-to-wear shop at 4009 Roosevelt Road. He was in business with Sister Betty. And didn't get along, and Nate bought her out. And they never spoke to each other. That's why it was called the Betty shop. The next shop we had was called Mo Nate. M-O for Molly and Nate. Mo Nate. I thought it would sound very Frenchy, but that didn't make a go of it either. My husband did not have sharp taste in ladies ready to wear. What I wanted to buy, he said he'll never sell it. It was different. I think I have a pretty good taste. The excitement of going to the boat and gamble and come home with a few bucks. That's my excitement. Last time we went, a woman played the dollar machine, $5 across on the third pull, which is $15. She hit something and won $5,000. That would be exciting. She was on the bus with us. A black woman. Very nice. She won $5,000. They even took her picture.